every not so straight or not so direct path that you've taken, they have a plot and a way to improve your career. Yeah, so for me, that chemistry background helps me to improve my analytical mind about things, even about people. So somehow, it's a plus eventually and not a minor. However, back to my question. So is it that there's no more strict, it can't happen, or is it just our climb? Is it just our environment? Is this as a result of the challenges we're facing in our environment? I don't know.
Okay, good. That's one of the passion I have to do. Really, is how do we help the folks coming up to get clarity? All right, because might sounds like, hey, it worked out good, but the truth is it doesn't always work out good. It doesn't. Times it does not. And why is that? Is because there is no thought process or planning when it comes to what do I want to do with my life. Okay. In my time, it was do jam, either you become a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer. That's it. All right. So it should be there should be a plan. There should be a thought process to what do I want to do? What do I really aspire to do? And then you plan it. So it's I hear you. I think education gives you aptitude. You get something for sure, you will. It makes more sense if you really tailor your education to what you want to do as a person.
Okay. So first of all, you need to start from you. Yes. What you want to do, whether you even as you're planning to go study something in school, what do you want to do? And that struck me because I remember having to have conversations with my parents, for my siblings to say, if you are telling this boy to go and study medicine, he will fail. You better, stuff like that. So that clarity should start from that point, because sometimes the people around us could be misleading, thinking that they are being helpful. Maybe you want to share something?
Okay. I also think that it's riding on what Anna said as well. That's largely because a lot of us, most likely from like secondary school, there's not so much guidance. I'm not quite sure how it is these days, but I remember when I was in secondary school, we had to take an exam from JS3 to SS1 to determine whether we go to sciences or art class. And I remember that I was put in sciences. We didn't really fancy, to be honest, the only reason I wanted to do science at that time was because they said that it was only smart people that did sciences. Oh. So when they put me in sciences, it validated my thought that I was smart. But it wasn't, that wasn't really what I wanted to do, because I loved business studies, but we didn't do it in JS3. So I remember going to see the guidance counselor, and every time I went to her office, she was never there. So I just gave up and, I just accepted. And I was excellently good in chemistry. I loved chemistry, but I didn't like physics and I didn't like maths. It was so bad that I had an A1 in chemistry and I had P's in maths and physics, and I wanted to do pharmacy. So, that's where my sort of confusion had started from. So if I had had proper guidance at that time, I probably wouldn't have done sciences, or I may have done it and may have been better in physics and maths, realizing that those were weak areas and I could have needed it to have done.
So guidance is important. So even at that phase, early guidance, even at that phase of deciding what are the courses that I'm going to go for on my first degree or from JSS, from secondary school, proper guidance is important. Whether we're giving our siblings or whether we're asking for guidance, it's very important. In my own case, we had guidance, but I knew that the counselor had so many kids in class that at some point, students were begging the counselor, say, please, just put me in science. Please, just put me in sciences. I went a lot more like later when there was less pressure, and my results were saying arts class, but because I wanted to be the smart guys, I sort of persuaded and I just fell off. And then she put me in sciences, and my God, I wish that wasn't the case. Ebe, you have something to share before I go on?
Okay, and I think for me, Nigeria has a factor to play.
Yeah.
We have some stereotype, like, before it was accounting, medicine, engineering. Now the in thing is tech, right? So I have a niece that right now she's really worried because she doesn't know what she needs to do. But my school of thought is, you know what, try and do different things, read up on different things, right? You might think you want to be a lawyer. You might do some internship in a law firm and realize that law is not for you. If we're able to have opportunities where, you know, we can work into firms, if they have internship, try one or two things. It will also give us clarity and help us decide where we want to do. And maybe in Nigeria, we can have the option of having a major and a minor course where you have major in engineering or minor in arts. So you're still in school, but, you know, it helps you understand where you can fall into. So if you look at the Western world, they have all that. So you see a lot of people are photographers, chefs, and they are making it big. But here we're so focused on, you know, if it's not medicine, it's engineering now, it's tech. And yeah, there are a lot of other professions that people are doing really well.
Yeah.
So I think it starts with the country we say ourselves.
Yeah, so the country has a part to play
Yes,
in it. However, that may be for now beyond our circle of influence. It's a circle of concern, but then we can, as we, you know, maximize what we have. I mean, speaking of country, I know footballers really they don't have to have a BSc once they need to. I mean, I just hear them go for football groups or something like that, academic, yeah, and from there they just move on. Even tennis, I didn't remember anything about the Williams sister going for a BSc. She probably just attended an academy, and that was that. All right, great. So I see a question online, and Maiwa is saying that she is a consultant, HR consultant, and has worked in FMCG and multinational. He has done this for 2 years. He also has an MBA in HR management. He was thinking that his 26-year-old, being young will help him. But he said something about crawling. Maiwa, I'd like to know what exactly do you mean by crawling? You have 2 years experience, and if you're currently 26 and you're an HR consultant, you have work experience across FMCG and multinational, I would think that should be a plus. I need you to really clarify what you mean by crawling. I need you to be clear on your question. Are you concerned? Because I see you saying, oh, you have a background in economics and education, but then you've taken interest in HR. I also see that beyond taking interest, you've taken action by having by acquiring skills. Your MBA focused on HR. So let me know in the comment section. Let me know what exactly the challenge is, the issue you're grappling with, so that we can address it here. Judy, I see you. I hear you. You said you remembered the guidance counselor put you in a science class. You cried and refused. You reported to your parents and other uncles until they put you in a commercial class. So you fought for your own freedom. I'm glad you were able to do that, Judy. Thank you so much for sharing. In my own case, I remember a senior of mine was telling me, Lara, your results are showing your English and English literature reports are all good, 98%, 100%. What are you going to do in sciences, literature, CRK, 100%? Stay in art. I was like, art is for unserious people, Jerry. Those girls, they are not serious at all. I don't want to be there. I really wished I did. All right, let's continue the conversation here, back here. So now that we all are where you are in terms of your work experience, you've had experiences and all that, I'd like you to share, what are your most memorable moments in your career? Memorable. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. So let's start from the good first. What memorable experience you've had in your career, or maybe we should start from the bad. Which should we start from? Maybe the bad, so that we'll take lessons from it. Then we now move to the good. What do you say? We'll start from the bad. Maybe something that happened in your career that shook you or impacted you, like you learned a lesson, but it wasn't palatable, something like that. I want our audience to be able to understand that building your career over a long period of time, being a manager or being a business leader, does not mean that you do not make mistakes, and that it's important that you learn from your mistakes. All right, so who wants to go first? All right, thank you, Abby.
I had a boss, he passed away 2 weeks ago. God bless his soul. You know when so this is when I just started HR. Like I pretty much started the whole career journey, and you have a master's, you already have work experience, you expect certain things to be done certain ways, and then someone breaks you, like they put you on projects and you think that, oh yes, you're doing right, and then you have a meeting and they take your project to an intern, sort of, that kind of, it was horrible. But for me, I kept my eye on the goal, and the goal was just to focus and get it done. So the next day I entered the meeting, I anchored the meeting, and he was looking at me, and I made sure I did the deal, like whatever I needed to do. But what that taught me was, what, no matter what, this is where you're going to, this is the plan you have, right? I gave myself a target, I did everything I needed to do. And when I hit that target, I resigned and I left. But that was hard.
That was hard for you. So keep your eyes on the prize. That's the lesson I take.
Yes.
Like you can't determine the kind of person you work with, whether they're going to be wonderful, whether they're going to be nasty, whether they're going to be people that you have to be reading Psalm 23 with before you work with them and all that. But keep your eyes on the prize. I think another thing may be being intentional about emotional intelligence, improving our own relationship management, because sometimes we are even not self-aware of our strengths and weaknesses. So that makes it also hard relating with our bosses or colleagues as well. Yeah. So, Tony, do you have something to share?
I how this condition to work and life is just do what you need to do. Like I don't have to, come and massage your ego and all of that. And I learned in a very hard way that you need to find that balance. So performance is not enough, right? It's not enough to just say I'm good at my job, I'm doing my job well, my job will speak for me. No. And I learned it in a very hard way. There's a point when a promotion was due and I felt, okay, I should be considered for this as well. I think I'm doing well so far. And somehow it just went over my head. Okay. And then after that, the decision maker then called me into a one-on-one session and was like, oh yes, I know you were expecting this, but this. But in all it was saying, I could tell clearly that it was about the relationship side of things. I'm not that person that would just come to your office and say, I just said came to see. I don't have anything to say to you. You won't see me in your office, right? But I realized that worked against me. I'm not there yet because it's still not the kind of person I am. But now I try to consciously, beyond doing the job, I try to put in a little more effort on the relationship side. So I think that's one thing that really hit me hard.
Thank you so much. Relationships are important. So it's not about, oh, I'm good, I deliver. How about your social skills, being intentional? So it's not about you saying, I come to work, I carry my bag, I'm seated, I do everything I need to do. People need to know what you're doing. Yeah. You need sponsors, you need people in your organization to, when you're not there in meetings, talk about you. Say, oh, I know that guy, I know that girl. This and these are the things that she does, and she deserves this promotion. Why is she not on this table? Why is she not in that committee? I believe she has the skills, she has the knowledge, she has that attitude to help us achieve this objective. So you need to be intentional with building relationships at the workplace. So it's not you, your bag, and your laptop. Yes, Aruna.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. Mine is also boss related, but
wow,
from you guys. For me, I had a boss, a young man. He was unmarried. He was an expatriate. So, really hard worker. And I was prepping to take up his role because he was leading the team. So I was prepping to take up the role. And this guy would be in the office from 7. He will close maybe 8 p.m. and very diligent in his work. And when it was time for him to leave, I wasn't offered the job. And I felt really bad because I had labored for it. I'd also put in time. I was working the same way he was working.
I think I missed maybe the growing up years of my first daughter, just because I was trying to be like that, right? So when he left, I wasn't offered the role. I was really bad. I really felt bad. I wanted to leave the organization. So someone had a talk with me and said, listen, you shouldn't take it that way, all right? See what the new boss is going to offer. So I got a new boss. And my God, it was a complete mind shift, right? And with my new boss, I learned delegation. I learned people skills. I learned managing human beings. I learned looking at things in a broader perspective. So for me, I am so grateful for that experience, because I always tell people it helped me to know how not to be a leader. And sometimes all we keep looking for is how to be a good leader, how to be a good business. Learn how not to be that. All right. And so, you know, I was so blessed. 2 years after my next boss came, he was leaving and I was offered the role. Wow. And now I look back and say I was well prepared for it. So the lesson for me is, whether it's a bad boss, whether it's a bad time, there is a lesson in it. Always make sure you open your mind to it. Maybe if I prepared myself that way, I may have learned more. But now I know that. So in every situation, I'm not bothered. I'm looking for what am I going to learn from it.
And that's important. Another thing I also picked from what you've shared, Aaron, is that not every challenge, don't exit the door at every challenge. You will never learn anything. There are going to be things that you will experience. People put you down, like no promotion when everyone knows that you deserve it. And, so you may not get what you want initially, but don't let every organizational decision make you now exit the door. Sometimes it's not worth it. Thank you very much. Yeah, Ubemi, your experience.
Okay,
I think we have about 10 more minutes.
Okay. For me, it was when I was early on in my career. I think I'd only worked for maybe about 2 years at the time. And we got this contracts from one of the multinational oil companies to handle an online recruitment process for them. And this was a period where it's not like now where you have all the tech tools and everything. The people would go online to apply, but everything would fall into an Excel sheet. So you need to sit down and sort through the Excel sheet. So my boss at the time was going on holiday. At the period we got the offer, and then she handed it to me. And I hadn't really done much about that, kind of job at that time. So I had to, be liaising with the staff of the oil company, go for meetings, whilst also timelines were crazy. So I think at the end of the day, we had maybe about 35,000 applications. I had to sort through in Excel. The file would crash because there were too many, Anyway, long and short, I ended up, sorting out everything, and I delivered the information to them on a hard drive. So it now came time for them to pay. So meanwhile, we had to outsource the construction of that website to an IT firm to enable us do it. So it was time to pay. I prepared the invoice, took it to the oil company. Oh, it's time to pay, blah, blah, blah. And I think the invoice was about maybe 3 million at the time. The guy at the company said, no, this is not how much we paid our previous consultants last time. We paid them 150,000. I said,
Jesus Christ.
So I said, no.
Oh my God.
But I'm sure you must have had a discussion with my boss. He said, no. She had said we should discuss everything with you.
Oh my God.
Blah, blah, blah. In fact, I was prepared to kill myself, because I thought to myself, there's no way you can move from 150 to
150 to 3 million. No, I cannot do the math. It's kind of headache.
I couldn't even call her, because this was, she was abroad at the time. We had cell phones, yes, but for some certain reason, we could only reach her by landline when she called. So, I just told the man, I said, I beg you, I've only worked for 2 years. I don't want to lose this job. How are we going to resolve? He said, no, we can't pay you more than we paid the previous consultants. It's impossible, blah, blah, blah. So I had to go back, negotiate with them again, go back, negotiate, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, we arrived at somewhere,
in between.
They didn't pay the 3 million, but they paid close to that.
They paid close to that?
Yes. And the reason was because even the construction of the website had cost us almost 1 million naira.
Wow.
So there was no way I could have taken that 150. And when my boss came back, she was so upset. How could you do this? How could you do that? I couldn't even remind her that she hadn't done the negotiation before she left me. But I was happy because I learned
how to manage that process, So this was something that could have gone completely bad, but I learned how to recover from that experience.
That was massive. 150K. I have to start the mathematics now. Thank you very much for sharing. I'm happy that you shared something that you did that was not acceptable at the time, but you were able to manage and pull through despite the challenge. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now I'm seeing Mayowa Oluche say online. I think Mayowa was the one who asked a question earlier. Okay, so you said crawling because you earn so low and feel you were shortchanged on your current earning. There was no salary structure in place. It's strictly on negotiations, and I was inexperienced on negotiating salaries. I write and review resumes for other people. They earn better. Wrote SOPs for some others, and they're out of the country doing better. I'm here submitting applications, but kept getting rejection, and even some I wouldn't respond. Okay, so I get what so it's the pay for you, if I understand, Mayowa. You feel like you're doing so much, you didn't negotiate well, yeah, and then there's so much you're doing that you do not feel you're getting that appreciation. So what do we have to say to Mayowa? Tony, do you have anything to share with Mayowa?
I don't think the circumstance he is in right now is something that can be diagnosed in just this short time we have. Sure. It feels like it needs to sit with someone and have a proper detailed conversation. And it's in that coaching session and the unpeeling of the onions that more information would come through. So that would be my recommendation to him, to sort of meet with maybe a senior mentor, a career coach, or someone who can ask him some, really probing questions that would help review where the issue is and then know how to course correct from there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Because I feel that I've also negotiated salaries badly, but it wasn't very enough for me to feel that I'm crawling. So that word crawling really means that beyond the salary, there's still much more.
Yeah, just to add to that. But in the meantime, I think one of the tenets for me is excellence, right? Wherever you are, whatever it is you're doing, either you like it or not, you think it's beneath you, at that moment, just do that work excellently. You may not know that people are looking at you. You may not know that people are observing, but it always pays out down the line. It could be, I don't know where he works. So if he works in a consulting firm, for instance, it may be one of the clients that would eventually reach out to him 2 years from now to say, I've seen the diligence, I've seen the output of your work. There's this opportunity. I think it's a suitable one for you. And that may just be the break he needs. So he shouldn't get sucked into the crawling moment right now, but he should focus on how do I give value? How do I, perform excellently even at this level where I am.
Thank you very much. Because sometimes in your career, like Aruna was sharing, you'll be doing a lot of work. Imagine what he shared. He lost a good number of years that he could have spent with his son, with his daughter, doing work and trying to be at his best, but eventually it didn't happen at some point in time. It later did. So please don't be discouraged. Yes, does anyone have anything other than coaching? I'm also aligned with what Toyin said about coaching. It could be CV, it could be anything that you're not doing right, or you're not you've not nipped it in the board properly. That could be it. And does anyone have anything? I want to take more questions online. Yeah, I don't know.
The man in the mirror concept, which is do a self-introspection of yourself. And I say this because, I interview quite a number of people, and, when they come for the interview, many of them at the end, I ask them, if you were sitting in my position, will you employ this person? And they said no. because, and I'm not saying everybody's in that bracket. I'm just saying sometimes you also need to look at yourself and say, am I putting in the work? Am I putting the right shift? Am I getting myself prepared enough? It's not about I've been 20 years in this game. I've been 25 years in this game. That's not how it counts. So yes, there is the piece of coaching, there is the place of mentoring, but then there is also the place of you doing. Initiative also comes from you and you doing it consistently. You know, they said success is more of consistency than intensity. So how consistent are you at doing these good things that you need to do? So let's look at the man
in the mirror. I mean, one of the things, one of the very steps that I take with people that I coach is self-awareness, personality test. You could try that. You could, you know, if that will work for you. Also feedbacks, take feedbacks from the people around you. You will be surprised at what you'll find from that self-awareness exercise. Okay, so I'm taking another question, and it's from a teacher from Agbolet. Sylvester, you're saying that you've been in this field in teaching for 15 years, and the plan is not there anymore. You say that perhaps it's because of your experience with your boss. So this has led to decisions over the period to move out into something else. Okay. So, but you've been having issues on your right skill set, building of your CV and making a move due to maybe time, fund, and fear. You need help. What do we have to say to Sylvester? Sylvester has not even built his CV. Sylvester. So, but he wants to move. He wants to learn, wants to be better. He studied guidance and counseling. What do we have to say to Sylvester? Abby.
Yeah.
In every career, you're going to meet a boss that is what you're running from. But what makes
Please
the
allow me
difference
to interrupt you. I see
Okay.
something about funds also. So it could be
No, the first part.
boss issues coupled with funds. Maybe the fee is also not great, not fabulous. Because sometimes people don't talk about bosses if the money is good, you know, or they don't talk more about that.
No.
Yeah.
He's talking exactly. No,
Correct.
he's talking about the move he wants to make.
Exactly.
So the first point is he's his boss. So his passion has reduced because of the treatment he's gotten from his boss. So now he's having in his mind, he wants to either move into HR consulting, psychology, where he's having issues with picking the right skill set, building his CV, making the move due to time, fund, and fear. So they're like different things, right?
I know.
So my own to him is you would always have a boss. You will meet that boss, right? That would not be the great boss, right? But what makes the difference is your mindset. What does he want to do? I can't make the decision for him, right? If he says, oh, he wants to go into HR or consulting, it's a different ball game. We can then say, okay, for you to do this, you need to do X, Y, Z. These are the courses you need to do. This is the fund. Okay, we'll come up with a plan and then we can take it from there. But right now, if his mind is not made up, I can't.
On what exactly he wants to do, it could be very hard to.
Yeah, you won't be able to help.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So you were saying something.
And I think just tied to what you talked about earlier about not jumping out of the boss. I mean, so you have an issue with a particular boss. If your passion is in teaching, you don't have to continue teaching in that establishment. So why is the decision to leave teaching altogether? Yeah. So there's something there. If you have one person, that's just one person.
Yeah.
So why isn't he thinking of, going elsewhere where he already has the skill set? And then again, there's nothing wrong with changing careers or dubbing careers. I mean, in my own change, I've moved, right? But if he needs the fund, then maybe what he needs to do now is leave that school, get a job in another school. He already has the experience and the skill set for teaching. He moves into another school and then starts to stay.
To
be able to then, take this certification. Maybe he wants to become a tech bro now. So now you start taking, the tech certifications. But you need to have that job first with the current experience that you have.
Yeah, thank you very much. I also see, because a couple of days ago, I was in training and I got similar questions. Research. Sometimes you don't have all the grasp. You don't have the total grasp of all the things that you want to do. So if it's HR, what knowledge of HR do you know? As simple as typing on Google, HR. Free. What you have is your internet. You can learn a bit or a thing or two from that. not to even talk about maybe some courses, 3,500 naira courses, or 5,000 thereabouts on Coursera, on Udemy, that could illuminate your mind. And, you find out with that, you can know whether, you can tell if this is what you want to go into or not. Or okay. And HR is even why there are different aspects of HR. So, I'm also saying that learn, research, also ask questions. So how many HR people around you do you know? If you do not know, ask the people around you who can also help you get people who already are HR managers, who you can sit with or have a conversation with, and they can enlighten you. All right. So do you have any other thing to add to is, okay, nothing else. Okay, I'm getting something online. It says, how can career success be measured? I think we have 5 more minutes before we round off this session. Let's get ready. The next session will be more interactive. Please get ready to share. We may even need you to unmute your microphone and share your experiences or ask us questions live. Now, it's important that, you use the notification button, use the raise of hands when it's time. Okay. So I'm taking questions from Daniel Adeagu, and he's saying, how can career success be measured when a professional remains poor and financially unsuccessful? Is that question playing my head?
Yeah. So,
Very shortly as we round up.
okay, so what I would say is one mistake I think that a lot of people make is they are loyal to their jobs. You should be loyal to your career. And your career is you. You are in charge of your career. You can influence your career. You are 100% responsible. You are not 100. You cannot be 100% responsible for your job because it depends on working with your boss, the company, those sort of other things. So if you are on a job or on a career and you feel that it hasn't financially rewarded you enough, then you need to be able to sit back, like you said, at some point, introspection, and ask yourself what the issue is. So is it that you're not getting promoted? If you're not getting promoted, why are you not getting promoted? Is it that the company you're working for is not making enough money? If they're not making enough money, why are you still there? Except you see that there's some sort of prospects or something.
I need you to unpack. You mentioned 2 things, job and career. And I feel so many people mix both. We use these 2 words interchangeably, however, they're different. So I want you to unpack that for someone who thinks is on a career, meanwhile is on a job.
Okay, so your job is the responsibility that you have now. So, for example, if you work as an accountant in a firm, that's your job. But your career is the sum total of all the jobs and expenses that you've had across your working life. So you started as an accountant, you may move to maybe a payroll expert. From payroll, you move to learning and development. From learning and development, you move into consulting. So that's the course of your career, all the experiences and all the jobs that you have held across your work experience.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So last words, speakers, before we leave, to welcome my other anchor, my other moderator to take on the open career conversations. Guys, get ready. If you need to get a notepad and get ready. The next session after our final word we'll be talking will be the segment where we talk about entry level and mid-level career people. So if you're entry level, if you're mid-level, if you have friends, you have siblings, you better send out the link, let them get online very quickly because it's about to go down. All right, last words, my speakers. What do you have to say to our audience? Last words. Maybe.
And I think for me, just be prepared because the opportunities will definitely come. So my transition was because I'd already prepared so much. And when that opportunity came, the move was huge. Like I was there earning like 4 times what I was earning, but I was prepared for it.
Thank you very much, Ebi. Good evening.
I'll say take responsibility. You are fully responsible for what it is that you do or you end up doing. And in taking responsibility, you have to research, you have to talk to people, you have to open up your mind. Don't wait for your company to happen to you. You happen to your company. If you are bored at work, look for how you can express yourself within work. You can create a whole new division within work, or you can find another job somewhere. At the end of the day, take responsibility.
Take responsibility. Be prepared. Aruna.
Okay, for me, I saw one caption that that stuck with me. He said, Rome was not built in a day, but they mix cement every day. You need to put in the work every day. You're not going to get there now. Be patient, but make sure you do something about it every day.
Thank you very much. Consistency.
Correct.
Thank you. Toyin.
For me, it would be open to learning. Be open to learning, be open to learning. Funds is not an excuse. If you cannot go for a master's, so for instance, when I got into HR, I then had to do my HR certification. I had to get my MSc in HR because I didn't have a background in HR. But if you don't have the funds to go that far, like you said earlier, go online, read online, but just be open to learning. Everything you want to know is available out there. Be open to learning, and you would always find a way in that new path that you want for yourself.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Ebi. Thank you, Gobere. Thank you, Aruna. Thank you, Toyin, for the golden nuggets you've shared in this session. We'll now be going on a short interlude. After the interlude, we will be back with the next session where we'll have a moderator, our moderator Shino, who will be handling the entry level, the mid-level conversation. So guys, keep your questions coming. I know that we took a few of the questions here, but we need the questions to come on because it's time for open career conversations. Don't forget, we are Daystar Career Development, and we are an arm of the Daystar Church. We are here to talk career, and our theme is open conversations, open career conversations. This is our third event. The last event, our theme was thriving in a digital environment. We learned a lot. We had speakers, we had keynote speakers, we had a panel, ask our questions, answer questions. But now in this virtual event, what we're doing is we want to engage you more. We know you have a lot of questions on your career, and that's what we're here for today. So thank you for hanging out. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Send the link to your friends. Let them join us. Send the link to your family. Let them join us. It's about to go down. Thank you.
Technology is the best way for you to actually give yourself and your business uncommon advantage.
Digital is now the set of skills or our reality. So if you're going to thrive in what is now our reality, we clearly would begin to reconsider some of the things we do differently.
As at the time that I was in school, the dream of every young person is to work in ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell. How many still have that dream today? There has been a paradigm shift. So that means something is important about technology as an enabler of careers, of work, of organization.
When you tell the average 8, 9, 10-year-old, do this, they would ask you why. I wanted my 10-year-old son to do something. So he just said, may I have your phone? I gave it to him, just said Google, or was it Alexa I said or something? And then the answer came out. So digital natives, they're born in that era. They do not know any other life. And those are your future employees or colleagues, by the way. And you would have to adjust because there's more of them than more of us dinosaurs.
So don't stay on the taxi while your contemporaries are getting on board Uber. That's it.
There's somebody seated here and we're saying, Lara, anything digital, my hand no deal. What is digital? Even to press remote or anything, I don't know. The first question I'm going to ask us to share our experiences as regards digital.
So my experience in the layman's language, transformation of the way we work using systems.
The new digital world now means that you might not see us for a long time. Digital world for me is you being able to pick a blend of both worlds together. Before I can give you a document, I have to use maybe a flash drive to copy it for you. Now I can put all these documents on Google Drive. Everybody can work on it at the same time. The advice to everybody today is to start using collaborative tool to ensure that in what you do, technology helps you to be a better person, helps you to deliver more and work efficiently.
I got into this organization again, and the first thing my CEO said to me was, we need to grow an agile organization. And then I'm like, hey, go from HR, where did I land like this? And then I went online. I'm like, what courses do I need to take so that I understand what my CEO is talking about, because it's either that or I'll be irrelevant. And then I've taken 2 courses, one in Scrum fundamentals, yes, and another one in Agile, because I don't want to be backward. You know, you can be in Lagos and still be living like you're in Osun State. I don't, no disrespect to people in Osun. You can be here and not be relevant. So the first thing for me is staying relevant. It's impressive to see a lot of young career professionals wanting to get insight on how they can thrive in their careers. So yeah, 2 things: stay agile and be deliberate to, you know, fully understand the skill set you need to thrive in this digital workplace.
One of the first things I tell people who have told me that they've gotten the skills is, if you want to break in, look for the areas that are in highest demand. The job, right, is a solution to a problem from that desk. So I'm looking for the best that's going to solve that problem for me. I'm looking for that guy or who's going to build me that next thing that is going to give me that next billion. That's just it. You need to look for that thing that just distinguishes you. Having the skills is not enough, but getting the skills in the areas that is highest in demand and making sure you do something that sets you apart from the general populace.
Technology is the best way for you to actually give yourself and your business uncommon advantage.
Digital is now the set of skills or our reality. So if you're going to thrive in what is now our reality, we clearly would begin to reconsider some of the things we do differently.
As at the time that I was in school, the dream of every young person is to work in ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell. How many still have that dream today? There has been a paradigm shift. So that means something is important about technology as an enabler of careers, of work, of organization.
When you tell the average 8, 9, 10-year-old, do this, they would ask you why. I wanted my 10-year-old son to do something. So he just said, may I have your phone? I gave it to him, just said Google, or was it Alexa I said or something? And then the answer came out. So digital natives, they're born in that era. They do not know any other life. And those are your future employees or colleagues, by the way. And you would have to adjust because there's more of them than more of us dinosaurs.
So don't stay on the taxi while your contemporaries are getting on boat Uber. That's the point.
There's somebody seated here and we're saying, Lara, anything digital, my hand no deal. What is digital? Even to press remote or anything, I don't know. The first question I'm going to ask us to share our experiences as regards digital.
So my experience in a layman's language, transformation of, of the way we work using systems.
The new digital world now means that you might not see your colleagues for a long time. Digital world for me is you being able to pick a blend of both worlds together. Before I can give you a document, I have to use maybe a flash drive to copy it for you. Now I can put all these documents on Google Drive. Everybody can work on it at the same time. The advice to everybody today is to start using collaborative tool to ensure that in what you do, technology helps you to be a better person, helps you to deliver more and work efficiently.
I got into this organization again, and the first thing my CEO said to me was, we need to grow an agile organization. And then I'm like, hey, girl, from HR, where did I land like this? And then I went online. I'm like, what courses do I need to take so that I understand what my CEO is talking about? Because it's either that or I'll be irrelevant. And then I've taken 2 courses, one in Scrum fundamentals, yes, and another one in Agile, because I don't want to be backward. You know, you can be in Lagos and still be living like you're in Osun State. I don't, no disrespect to people in Osun. You can be here and not be relevant. So the first thing for me is staying relevant. It's impressive to see a lot of young career professionals wanting to get insight on how they can thrive in their careers. So yeah, 2 things: stay agile and be deliberate to, fully understand the skill set you need to thrive in this digital workplace.
One of the first things I tell people who have told me that they've gotten the skills is, if you want to break in, look for the areas that are in highest demand. The job, right, is a solution to a problem from that desk. So I'm looking for the best that's going to solve that problem for me. I'm looking for that guy or who's going to build me that next thing that is going to give me that next billion. That's just it. You need to look for that thing that just distinguishes you. Having the skills is not enough, but getting the skills in the areas that is highest in demand and making sure you do something that sets you apart from the general populace.
Technology is the best way for you to actually give yourself and your business uncommon advantage.
Digital is now the set of skills of our reality. So if you're going to thrive in what is now our reality, we clearly would begin to reconsider some of the things we do differently.
As at the time that I was in school, the dream of every young person is to work in ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell. How many still have that dream today? There has been a paradigm shift. So that means something is important about technology as an
how we are doing. I like for you, if you can hear me, just put a 1 or 2 on the chat box so that we are sure that you are live and you are listening to us. So I have with me Lara, who was the moderator earlier, and I also have Shegu, we call him the prof, on this session. So we're just going to be talking about, those of us that are in entry level and those that are in the mid level of our careers. We'll be having a conversation with you. I'd like you to ask questions. And for those of you that also want to contribute, kindly, share your thoughts on the chat box. You can also, unmute yourself. However, we would like you to just raise up your hand if you have anything to share with the team. We have some questions here already. However, I'd just like to hear from Shegu because, Shegu is also new on the platform with us regarding how he came into HR. For those of you that do not know him, Shegu actually is a chemical engineer by studies. However, he's an HR practitioner. So, Shegu, can you just share your journey with us before we ask questions from the audience? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. It's a great opportunity to grace this occasion. So in terms of sharing where I started, I read chemical engineering from a Nigerian university. And interestingly, I started that career transition before I left the university. Strangely enough, I was talking to a friend, even while I did an OND before my direct entry into university. I said, I'm not seeing myself on the oil rig. And the guy looked at my face and said, are you okay? So you've done 2 years in Polytechnic, you're doing another 4 years in the university. And in between, there were ASU strikes. Now we're seeing ASU strike. It started before then. If you happen to go to OAE, you understand what I'm saying. We have a lot of different breaks. And in between, I noticed I was more drawn towards the humanities. The thermodynamics was no longer making sense to me. Yes, I had a 2-1, but there was something clear in my mind that even before I left the university, I started teaching people how to write CVs. And I started getting involved in career information. Then that was when I stumbled on information that employers don't make house calls. So I served in Kebbi State, and I was so clear in my mind that I was meant to do human resources. And while I was in Kebbi, I saw somebody that brought a brochure for CIPM. He said, yes, that's what I've been looking for. So there's something called human resources, correct? Because I've been managing people, leading people. I was so drawn up to volunteering in the religious environment that I planned retreat programs. I had 200, 300. So they were coming natural to me. So then I read chemical engineering. So I said, okay, so where's the meeting point? So I drafted a plan that when I'm back from school, from NYSC, I was going to do a crafted CV, target HR consulting firm, because they would give me a chance. This was the time when chemical engineers were joining KPMGs and the Big Fours. So it was looking like we're like a raw material that could do anything. So I knew that let's give it a try. Unfortunately for me, I sent my unsolicited CV to about 3-4 consulting outfits. 2 of them called me for an interview. 1 landed into a job. And 8 weeks down after NYC, I got my first job in HR. And I'll say the rest is history. So for me, it was more around self-discovery, understanding and not deceiving myself, because I believe that that's where the challenge is today. A lot of people are going in drove to some profession, but they're not prepared for it. Aside the part that I chose that, I also prepared myself. Today, I'm beginning to evolve into other things, and the part of HR that now played to my strength. My chemical engineering was not to waste. I think it's very critical to mention that I am in a part of HR that is calculation based. And remember, chemical engineering, I should be good in maths. I should be good in further maths. So those area analytics, they come easy to me. So it was a function of me blending my education, my interest, and finding a profession that would have a blend of the two. So I think that sums up some of the things that I've been around doing.
Thank you very much, Shegun. Lara, I know you had already shared some, aspects of how you got into HR. However, you have some people here who are actually at the mid-level. Do you have some advice for them on how they can actually pivot to the next stage? We still have another session where we're going to be talking to those in the mid. However, for those that are in the mid-level of their careers and still a bit stuck, what advice do you have for them with regards to what can we do to ensure that we enjoy it? You get to a level whereby you're just tired. You're tired of the work. What advice do you have?
So, I'm in sales. I've worked as a project manager in a research company. Before I now even finally said, oh, this is what HR is, what I want to do. And not just HR, learning and development. If you're at that mid-level point in your career and you feel stuck, first is to, like Arino said in our last session, self-evaluate. Where are you currently? Do you have the skills? That job you're on, that role you're on, are you at your best? Do you have the skills? Do you have the certification for that role? Are you performing? Sometimes it's not just about the designation. I've been on roles where I was project manager, but I was doing far more. I was doing far more than that role, that designation was for. So don't get bogged by roles. Sometimes you may need to do beyond. In fact, do beyond every day. But get stuck. Ask people around you. If in your team, you've learned all that you need to learn in your team, go to another department. How can you add value in another department? What can you learn from sales? I've had people say that the knowledge that I gathered in statistics was what got me a job where I now earn like ×6 or ×10. So don't get stuck with just where you are, your designation. Walk beyond your designation. Of course, understand your interest. Another is association. Who are you linked with? Who are the join people moving in your direction? People that are driving you better. The aim or the role, the importance of joining some groups like the CIPM, CPD, and SHRIM and all other kinds of groups, professional groups, is for you to leverage on experiences, on people who have gone ahead of you. What else can you learn? What else can you do? So that's what I need to share for now, that application now for that person.
Okay, thank you very much. However, I just want to be sure that, we still have our online participants. If you're there, can I just see you type in 1 or 2? I've not seen anybody say anything apart from Sylvester, who asked a question about the page not opening. Sylvester, are you back on? I just want to, okay. Thank you, Mayowa. Oh, thank you, Adekola. Oh, thank you, Olateju. Thank you. Is that Oise? Okay, Olushola. Okay, thank you. I just want to be sure that, I still have you guys on. So if you have any questions or you just want to participate, kindly, raise up your hand and let us know. However, I have a few questions here that I'll ask the panelists. So, Shegun, I'll throw this to you. If you could change something about work this year, what is that one thing? What is that one thing that it will be? And I might be coming to you, Lara. So just
one thing I can what?
That you can change concerning work this year as an HR practitioner. Please don't tell me that he's not going to work.
No. I think the very first thing, I currently operate in an environment that is manufacturing 9 to 5. And COVID has made us very lazy around work from home. So if I was to change anything, I think I'll start an hybrid policy to be able to make people majorly. You can't operate the machines from home anyways, unfortunately. But interestingly, for those that are the back office, I rather want to introduce an hybrid work for them. Lagos traffic can be very tiring, and sometimes, unfortunately, everybody's used to that physical. You're in an environment, you send an email to somebody, and if you don't get into his office or stand in front of him, the young man is not going to check his email. So maybe
a little bit of some of us are very familiar with online, so maybe I'll be able to change that.
Okay, so a follow-up question now is, do we work more or do we work better? Are we more productive when we work from home than when we work in the office?
I think it's relative. It's relative. So my background, I'm self-driven. Sometimes I call myself a one-man soldier or one-man army itself. So I can be doing multiple things at the same time. And the way my mind works is that I can't just sit down and not be doing anything. If you get home and you find me in front of the TV set, then I'm just intentionally trying to shut down. But I'm always in front, so trying to find something to do. Now, compare that to someone that is doing online work and is in the market. Or because it's online, I've worked with a colleague before that for days there was no power. And she literally shut down. 3 days later, she suffers from nowhere. And I'm asking, phones are down, emails are not being replied. What's the issue? There's no power. And I'm saying, sorry, we know COVID was at the peak. You can't tell me you are offline, you're off the grid. At the minimum, your phone should be charged. There should be. Then she went on and said there was no generator, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's relative. Now, because it takes a little bit of self-leadership to be able to do that. Because you need to know when you're at work and when you're off. Yes, the downside of working from home is that from the time your laptop is with you till the end of the day, then you know you're working. So, but you need to be able to. So it's I think it's relative.
Thank you very much. Before I come to you, Lara, Oladimeji has his hands up. Oladimeji, do you want to unmute yourself? Or yeah, you can ask your question. Oladimeji, are you there? You need to unmute your microphone, Oladimeji.
Okay.
Okay, so while we wait for Oladimeji, are you up?
Good afternoon.
Okay.
Good morning, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. You can ask your question.
Okay. Good morning once again.
Good afternoon.
Okay. 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 My question is just I've been trying to actually study them public extension and management, but I'm hearing from the HRs now. Where I'm working currently, what I do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this job, do the accounting job, do the.
Sorry, Oladimeji, are you using a hands-free? We can hardly hear you.
I am using my laptop. Probably you send the question.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Okay, I will send the question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Shegun, you have your hands up. Kindly unmute and ask your question.
All right, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my question is about moving from a supervisory role to a managerial role, because when you are moving into a managerial role, they expect you to know what to do, get the ground running and deliver results. So on the point of the interview, it's very important to ask some strategic questions about the stakeholders and what the business is trying to achieve as a result of the role. So my question is, how do you ask the right question so that you don't get into a job and you get stuck? That is, you don't know what exactly, the key competency areas of the business are, and you're not quite sure how to put in the results that they want. So, and I think that at the point of the interview, you need to ask some of those questions so that you know what exactly you're getting into, so that you can get the desired results. So what are the key questions to ask? Who are the stakeholders and things in that direction? So that's what I want to know. Thank you.
Okay, so I would also ask you a question, Shelby. So what industry are we talking about? What sector are you in? So that at least that would also give us, some guide with regards to how to answer the question.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I'm a customer service professional. and I'm looking at roles in customer service leadership. And I'm interested in going into industries that have to do with fintechs, or let's just say manufacturing, that want to maybe increase in sales. Maybe the goals of the business is to increase the number of users that maybe use their fintech services for payments, or if it's a manufacturing industry, increase the number of customers that buy from them. So those are kind of things I'm interested in. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm even happy you asked that question because Shegu is going to answer. Lara will also answer. I'll also chip in because Shegu is sort of in that space, sort of. So Shegu.
Okay. Shegun, interestingly, you also get Shegun Basharan. So now, my very first question is, you try to answer it, is to ask what are the key performance indicators for success in that role. So if you ask the question that, so how would you know I'm doing this role well? And the interviewers cannot give you a definite answer. And they go this way. We want you to be doing everything. You're going to be the manager. Sorry, it's a definite red flag. An organization that is setting up a role should have a job description at the minimum. The job description will give you an idea of what the roles are involved, the things you're going to be expected of you in that role. Now, if you ask them the measure of success is, so if I'm expected to increase users on our platform from 10 to 20, it's easy. When I hit 20, I know I've achieved my target. But when they just say we want 1 million, the question you should ask is that how many is our users now? So by the time you know what the user level is now, and you're taking it to 1 million, that's unrealistic. So at the point of the interviews, when you ask what's the measure of success, and what they are setting as a measure of success is not looking realistic, we understand there should be a stretch goal, but if they're currently at 0, I want to go to 1 million, my brother, it's very unrealistic. So I think I would chip that in, and I'll allow Lara to add.
Okay, so Lara, he also talked about competencies. So for somebody who wants to come into a managerial role, we know that he has to develop his leadership competencies. He has to develop his communication skills. And of course, you are in the L&D space. So can you guide Shegu on what other competencies he should develop, to actually succeed as a customer service manager?
Thank you very much. So it's important that every time before you go for that interview, that interviewer will want to test or want to ask you questions about how you've worked with people before. It could be 4 people in your current organization, the challenges that you've gone through, how you handle those challenges, your learnings from there. So it's important that you sort of do a self-check or a self-evaluation of how far you're leading. If you're currently a supervisor, you're supervising some people, you're supervising, say, 4 people or 3 people. What is your leadership style? Are you that leader that people come to easily, or what are the challenges? What are those areas you need to work on? You may need to do some trainings, emotional intelligence, anger management, if that is the issue. In some cases, it could be you need to do trainings around you having tough conversations, because in leadership, there's so much to do. You have to manage resources, the organization's resources. You also have to manage people to get the work done. You're not going to be having sweet talks all the time with the people you're leading. So what that means, beyond just sitting in that interview, my comment is about you getting ready for that role in itself. So you need to work on yourself. You need to do that self-evaluation. Go look up personality tests. Ask people, because I say it all the time. The first level for emotional intelligence, of one of the key elements of emotional intelligence, is self-awareness. And it's a journey. You don't get to that point where you feel like, I have known everything. So because who you were yesterday may be different. You might have experienced some paradigm shifts in areas of your life. So do those personality tests, DIC tests, 16 junk. There's so much out. Just type on Google and get it done. You'll be surprised at your level of roles. Also, feedbacks. The people you're currently leading, do a hidden feedback, not open. Ask them how can I serve you better?
How can I lead you better? How can I supervise you better? What are the areas you think I need to improve on? If you don't, if you feel that they won't tell you outrightly, do a secret, can I call it secret ballot to get that information? Get ready to get you ready for that managerial position that you're looking for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lara. And I'll just add this, Shegun. You also need to know the industry you are playing in because it's very vital. Let me know the value that you are adding into the organization. So those are some of the things that you can discuss with your current manager or anywhere you are going to for interviews and all of that. However, I have two questions from Oladimeji. Oladimeji says you want to know what courses you can do that are relevant in management and HR. You can go online. I think Tony mentioned that earlier on. You can go online. There's so many of them. There's Coursera, there's Allison, there's CIPM, there's CIPD, there's Udemy. Shegun has some courses on Udemy that you can YouTube. There are so many courses on YouTube that you can go find. You can check some of these universities out, regarding management courses and, taking certification courses. However, you're also saying that currently you're working as a factory manager in agro-allied firm, but you want to do more because currently doing more than what I'm employed to do so that I can be more valuable now and in the future. Okay, so basically, Oladimeji, you need to actually ask yourself, and that's one of the things that I spoke about. Ask yourself, what are my strengths? What are the things I'm very good at? And begin to develop your strengths. I know that a lot of us always work on our weaknesses. However, develop your strengths to the extent where you are the best in that particular field. Okay? You said you are doing more. That's very good. That means that you are somebody that they could be looking out for a leadership position and all of that. However, I tell you, your hand is up. Do you want to unmute yourself so that you can ask your question?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Please, I have a question to ask.
You can go ahead.
Okay, sir. Please, currently, I'm teaching. I'm into teaching profession, but I have economics education in my first degree and test and measurement in my master's degree. But I want a career change. I'm looking towards a career change to HR department. But now I've been trying to apply to some even entry-level HR jobs, but I've not even gotten an interview, not to talk of giving chance to prove myself or to say something. So I don't know, how can I get that? How can I achieve that?
Okay, so one of the things I'll tell you is you need to find out what are the things in your teaching job that relates to HR. For instance, I'm sure you are going to have, colleagues that you relate with and all of that. So you need to find out what are the things that relate to HR that I can actually impute in my CV. Because I can imagine what you're doing currently. What you're doing is you're putting in your CV that you are a teacher. And then by the time the recruiter is looking at your CV, he's just putting that aside and nobody's going to ask you to come. So you need to find out what are those skill sets that are needed in HR, at least at entry level, yeah? And then put those things in your CV. And I don't know if Shegun will oblige us to give her a free CV review session.
I actually want to give more than a free CV session. Now, the challenge some individuals have when they say they want to take a career in HR is that they feel is a free pass. It's not a free pass. Some of us in HR want to leave HR. As a matter of fact, I'm no longer in HR technically because I'm doing a lot of other things because HR can be very boring. Now, but the starting point is, what am I currently doing? It's actually easy for you to move to HR in your current school than going into someone else taking a chance on you. I've done a few, let me say, sessions on having a career in HR. I have a whole series on my YouTube channel. And one of the things I tell people is that why HR? Some people feel that because HR is simple, everybody is a Jelenke life, simple. So exactly, what are they doing? Just firing and hiring. But there are more to HR. HR is not admin. HR is not just the administrative bit of things. The starting point for me, for you, is that I think you should sign up for CIPM. By the time you sign up for CIPM, or you even go through the examination route, you start to see what you're about to expose yourself to. Now, when you now put that on your CV, in addition to what Shino had said, you need to craft a CV that would interest somebody to give you an entry-level role in HR. Now, the closest in teaching and HR is around relationship management, employee relations, admin. The ability for you to write lesson notes. It's a discipline on its own. So you need to know how to craft that. We do policy writing in HR. So when somebody is telling you, why should we give a chance on you? If I were you, I'll tell them, do you know how many lesson notes I write on a daily basis? That's the experience of writing policies in HR and keeping to those policies, because you need to keep to your lesson note. That's free advice. So you need to mirror what you currently do on HR and see where the meeting point is. Then you can be able to craft your CV, but you need to answer the reason why. Because if you don't, the CV is not even the starting point. The CV is just going to get you a door in the way. But on the opportunity side, when you start CIPM, you get into HR groups. Start talking to HR people. Start attending HR events. Because when you start attending HR events, you start to speak HR lingo in interviews. The bar is even higher for somebody that didn't read HR. I read chemical engineering. I understand the bar very well. I was in an interview, and the person interviewed me said, you read chemical engineering. So what are you doing here? So he went through my CV and saw CIPM. I said, okay, you are doing something about it. Then when I was talking, I've been failed from an interview before because I was not speaking HR lingo. So I started to now, because I was too simple, because I simplified things. So they felt, this guy, what does this one know? Then I now did one very interesting thing. The next interview I went, but the reality is that you need to be able to find that meeting point. It's not far away, but you could take baby step, and I'm sure you'll be able to
start from where you are. Don't feel that, if HR is what you want to do, then take actions like right now. I pivoted from being a project manager to HR. However, while I was still doing project management, I was hosting trainings, I was coaching, I was doing a lot of other things. So it was easy and of course, I tried to get an HR role in the organization that I was. It did not work, but I kept on doing the bits and the tidbits I knew about HR. So when it was time for me to move, it wasn't. Another thing is also to leverage on relationships. You need to keep having conversations. So who are you speaking to? Who is an HR manager? Even if you're saying, oh, Lara, I'm not ready yet. My salary, I need to save 10K for about 5 months or so before I can get that CIPM form, or before I can go for tutorials. Then who are you having a conversation with? How many HR managers have you spoken to? One of the things that I did when I was at that point of pivoting to HR was I sent messages to my first contact, and I said, please, sir, please, ma, please, all right, who do you know that has experience in HR? What I wanted to do in HR, I didn't want to do everything in HR. What I wanted to do in HR was just learning and development. I didn't even know it was called learning and development. I just, let me speak to somebody who is there. And I sent this message out, and the response was wonderful. So I spoke with a lot of people who gave me advices, and I spoke with one person whose 30 minutes was outstanding. 30 minutes, never met this guy before. And the things he told me were just the insights that I needed. I also did not take that leap immediately. I planned it out. So start taking actions. You have your phone. Google HR. What is this HR? Check on YouTube. Watch an 11 minutes video on HR. That's where you will know that HR has different aspects. There's compensation and tax and compensation, compensation and benefits. There's that general HR, there's talent acquisition, and there's so much. So inform yourself, inform your mind, and take actions now. That's what I need to share.
Thank you very much, Lara. So Olateju, I hope that answers your question. However, I'm sure as we go on in the session, we'll drop our links, our LinkedIn. You can find Segun Akiode on LinkedIn. You can find Omolara on LinkedIn and myself. Because I saw somebody saying, can we mentor? I'm sure that is possible. However, I just have a few more minutes left. So somebody's asking that I observe having Daniel. I observe having conflict, open and quiet with my bosses. it is a sign of personality dysfunction or what, please? Daniel, do you want to expatiate on that? Are you saying you actually have confrontations with them? Because it's actually good. If you remember one of the things we mentioned on this platform, we said it's good for you to be able to have tough conversations. And as somebody who wants to go into a mid-career or even higher, you have to have those tough conversations with your bosses. But I think what he's just trying to say is he actually has this thing, but is it right for him to do it?
I think I've had that situation before where you just suddenly find out that your boss just don't like you, or you seem to be having clashes. I think it's a bit different from personality. So it's not a personality disorder. I think you need to see it as, for you to continually have issues with 1, 2, 3, 4 people, it means there's something, is either you are the stubborn person or you are not on the best communication style. I've had cases where I got sacked because of that before. And I told myself, never will that happen. Today, I currently operate in an organization and I make sure, even when others are trying to make me go against my boss, if my boss have not given me go ahead, I'm not going to say anything. The very first thing I try to do is to understand, how does my boss want things to be done? It's not a function of me trying to prove my ego here. As long as I'm not the person calling the shots, then I should be able to come low. It's not a sign of weakness. It's actually strength. Ability to handle everybody on your team and there are no clashes. Yes, there will be tough conversations, but you also need to understand that when it becomes 4-5, then you need to look inward first before you can now go out. So I think it's a thing of maybe a break in communication. There's a member of my team that I tell that to. I say, I'm used to working with virtual teams. Now I'm having about 3-4 people reporting directly to me. And a particular person, they are always having issues. So I got to a point, I had to try to understand, is it me? I don't have issues with every other person, but this person. Then I had an epiphany moment last week. I was discussing with other colleagues within the department, outside of our department, and somebody told us an issue he had with him. It was almost like open up. I said, so the problem is not with me, it's with him. As though that was not enough. In that same day, 2 different individuals told me about that same individual. So the impression for me was that maybe it's not my problem. It's actually more of the individual receiving feedback. Because the challenge is that it feels that everybody is against me. So you need to understand your colleagues and your bosses.
Okay, thank you very much, Shegu. We have so many questions here. Somebody's saying our time is up, but just give us 1 minute to just answer this.
I think that if you're an entry-level person, you also need to be careful how you handle conflict. There are some people, if you're working with a line head, you need to know their attitude, their character. So you can, for some line head, walk up to them and share something that they did that you really didn't go down well with you. For some, you cannot. That would be regarded as an affront. Like you're confronting you. When did they, when, so you need to be emotionally intelligent. Read the room. Know who it is that you're engaging with. And by the way, conflicts are normal at the workplace. It's in how you handle the conflicts that come your way that really matters. And if you're in a part of a team, it's normal. You have the numbing stage, forming stage. There's a stage in building or becoming a part of a team that is storming. So it's a both, and storming is just, conflict is just part, but how you handle it is very important.
Okay, thank you very much, Lara. Because we are pressed for time, Millicent, we see your question. You are saying, what of a situation where you tend to do more to increase value, but it's less appreciated? Remember, there was something Bubemi said, I think it was Bubemi that said, some of us, we love the job more than we love our own career growth. I think it's time for you to start looking out there and seeing, dusting off that CV, rewriting it and trying to find, another place where you'll be valued, okay? For the next question, additional says, I've already had an interest in tech. Now I'm serving. I was posted to a tech company. I'm having difficulty coping because your boss wants you to start handling huge projects within a short period of time. Please, I need your advice. Do you think I'm meant for this, or I'm just forcing myself? Funny enough, we had that conversation before we joined this. So I think, Shegun, can you quickly just answer that? And then Lara, you take the next one. Please, can you scroll back up so that we see the question? So basically, he's now giving more projects.
So I think one thing that additional needs to recognize is that when your boss feels you can undo more projects, it means you now need to increase capacity to undo more. So I'll give you an example. I had an opportunity to step within a short period of getting on the job. My line manager had to be out of the office, and I was back to back. I stepped into that role. After the first 1 or 2 weeks, I said, Madam, please come and take your job. I'm not interested in your job. Because I notice sometimes I wonder what she's doing from morning to night, and we're still disturbing the life of her. That period, I was still having my own fire to fight and her own. I said, share with me, I need capacity. The second time I did better. The third time, it was almost like I was becoming better. And so they told someone else to do it. Then the person was coming for advice. So it means you now need to develop capacity. Your boss is not just, he sees a potential in you. And the way our brain works is that when you don't challenge it, it's not going to expand. So when the friction is happening and you are not pushing, then you're not likely going to go beyond that capacity. But if you expand your capacity, you read more. What can I do more? How can I work smarter? There was a time in my career that if I needed to do a document, I needed 2 days. Today, I just need 3 hours, sometimes 1 hour. I'll get it done because it means my capacity has expanded. So my team members will send some things to me and they spend days to get it done. I do it I say, no, that's why I want you to do it. And I keep challenging capacity. Then, in addition to Obalolua, they're not appreciating you. There's one thing we call self-love. Appreciate yourself, celebrate yourself. As long as you are sure that you are doing the very best you are supposed to do, people may not always like you. I think sometimes we think everybody should like us 100%. It's not possible. I like that. I know I feel
that person, speaking of capacity, first is you need to identify that gap. Where exactly? So if you're spending 2 days on a slide that you need to deliver, you need to shorten that time. So how do you shorten that time? You could shorten that by getting online and typing PowerPoint 101. And with that information, you're able to shorten time, work smarter, and so identify that gap and improve your capability or capacity. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lara and Shegun. Our time is actually up. I believe that during the next session, some of the questions that have been asked will actually be answered. However, Obalua, you also said you don't want to look like somebody that is too loud or showy. Let your work speak for you. That's what I always say. Just keep doing what you're doing and do it well, and your work will speak for you. You know, yeah.
Sometimes you need to speak. People sometimes don't know what to do. Like Shegun was saying that some people say, HR, what are they doing? Sometimes you need people to know that this is what you can do, and then you share. Sometimes keeping quiet may be the death of you in your career.
Okay, so thank you very much, Lara. And you guys should kindly still stay on. We have a very short interlude. Our next speakers will be up, and we'll be talking about the legacy. And for those of us that want to pivot, you would have our speakers here to guide you on how you can do that. And for those of you that would like to reach out to DCDP team, we would actually share this link and our email for all of you to be able to get across to us. Thank you so much for your participation. Kindly hold on just for a few minutes, and then we'll join you shortly. Thank you.
Technology is the best way for you to actually give yourself and your business uncommon advantage.
Digital is now the set of skills or our reality. So if you're going to thrive in what is now our reality, we clearly would begin to reconsider some of the things we do differently.
As at the time that I was in school, the dream of every young person is to work in ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell. How many still have that dream today? There has been a paradigm shift. So that means something is important about technology as an enabler of careers, of work, of organization.
When you tell the average 8, 9, 10-year-old, do this, they would ask you why. I wanted my 10-year-old son to do something. So he just said, may I have your phone? I gave it to him, just said Google, or was it Alexa I said or something? And then the answer came out. So digital natives, they're born in that era. They do not know any other life. And those are your future employees or colleagues, by the way. And you would have to adjust because there's more of them than more of us dinosaurs.
So don't stay on the taxi while your contemporaries are getting on board Uber. That's the point.
There's somebody seated here and we're saying, Lara, anything digital, my hand no deal. What is digital? Even to press remote or anything, I don't know. The first question I'm going to ask us to share our experiences as regards digital.
So my experience in the layman's language, transformation of the way we work using systems.
The new digital world now means that you might not see your colleagues for a long time. Digital world for me is you being able to pick a blend of both worlds together. Before I can give you a document, I have to use maybe a flash drive to copy it for you now. I can put all these documents on Google Drive. Everybody can work on it at the same time. The advice to everybody today is to start using collaborative tool to ensure that in what you do, technology helps you to be a better person, helps you to deliver more and work efficiently.
I got into this organization again. And the first thing my CEO said to me was, we need to grow an agile organization. And then I'm like, hey, go. From HR, where did I land like this? And then I went online. I'm like, what courses do I need to take so that I understand what my CEO is talking about? Because it's either that or I'll be irrelevant. And then I've taken 2 courses, one in Scrum Fundamentals, yes, and another one in Agile, because I don't want to be backward. You can be in Lagos and still be living like you're in Osun State. I don't, no disrespect to people in Osun. You can be here and not be relevant. So the first thing for me is staying relevant. It's impressive to see a lot of young career professionals wanting to get insight on how they can thrive in their careers. So yes, 2 things: stay agile and be deliberate to, fully understand the skill set you need to thrive in this digital workplace.
One of the first things I tell people who have told me that they've gotten the skills is, if you want to break in, look for the areas that are in highest demand. The job, right, is a solution to a problem from that desk. So I'm looking for the best that's going to solve that problem for me. I'm looking for that guy or who's going to build me that next thing that's going to give me that next billion. That's just it. You need to look for that thing that just distinguishes you. Having the skills is not enough, but getting the skills in the areas that is highest in demand and making sure you do something that sets you apart from the general populace.
Technology is the best way for you to actually give yourself and your business uncommon advantage.
Digital is now the set of skills or our reality. So if you're going to thrive in what is now our reality, we clearly would begin to reconsider some of the things we do differently.
As at the time that I was in school, the dream of every young person is to work in ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell. How many still have that dream today? There has been a paradigm shift. So that means something is important about technology as an enabler of careers, of work, of organization.
When you tell the average 8, 9, 10-year-old, do this, they would ask you why. I wanted my 10-year-old son to do something. So he just said, may I have your phone? I gave it to him, just said Google, or was it Alexa I said or something? And then the answer came out. So digital natives, they're born in that era. They do not know any other life. And those are your future employees or colleagues, by the way. And you would have to adjust because there's more of them than more of us dinosaurs.
So don't stay on the taxi while your contemporaries are getting on board Uber. That's the point.
There's somebody seated here and we're saying, Lara, anything digital, my hand no deal. What is digital? Even to press remote or anything, I don't know. The first question I'm going to ask us to share our experiences as regards digital.
So my experience in the layman's language, transformation of the way we work using systems.
The new digital world now means that you might not see your colleagues for a long time. Digital world for me is you being able to pick a blend of both worlds together. Before I can give you a document, I have to use maybe a flash drive to copy it for you now. I can put all these documents on Google Drive. Everybody can work on it at the same time. The advice to everybody today is to start using collaborative tool to ensure that in what you do, technology helps you to be a better person, helps you to deliver more and work efficiently.
I got into this organization again, and the first thing my CEO said to me was, we need to grow an agile organization. And then I'm like, hey, go from HR, where did I land like this? And then I went online. I'm like, what courses do I need to take so that I understand what my CEO is talking about? Because it's either that or I'll be irrelevant. And then I've taken 2 courses, one in Scrum Fundamentals, yes, and another one in Agile, because I don't want to be backward. You know, you be in Lagos and still be living like you're in Osun State. I don't, no disrespect to people in Osun. You can be here and not be relevant. So the first thing for me is staying relevant. It's impressive to see a lot of young career professionals wanting to get insight on how they can thrive in their careers. So yeah, 2 things: stay agile and be deliberate to, you know, fully understand the skill set you need to thrive in this digital workplace.
One of the first things I tell people who have told me that they've gotten the skills is, if you want to break in, look for the areas that are in highest demand. The job, right, is a solution to a problem from that desk. So I'm looking for the best that's going to solve that problem for me. I'm looking for that guy or who's going to build me that next thing that is going to give me that next billion. That's just it. You need to look for that that just distinguishes you. Having the skills is not enough, but getting the skills in the areas that is highest in demand and making sure you do something that sets you apart from the general populace.
Technology is the best way for you to actually give yourself and your business uncommon advantage.
Digital is now the set of skills or our reality. So if you're going to thrive in what is now our reality, we clearly would begin to reconsider some of the things we do differently.
As at the time that I was in school, the dream of every young person is to work in ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell. How many still have that dream today? There has been a paradigm shift. So that means something is important about technology as an enabler of careers, of work, of organization.
When you tell the average 8, 9, 10-year-old, do this, they would ask you why. I wanted my 10-year-old son to do something. So he just said, may I have your phone? I gave it to him, just said Google, or was it Alexa I said or something? And then the answer came out. So digital natives, they're born in that era. They do not know any other life. And those are your future employees or colleagues, by the way. And you would have to adjust because there's more of them than more of us dinosaurs.
So don't stay on the taxi while your contemporaries are getting on boat Uber. That's the point.
The first session we had was like a generalist session, town hall kind of approach. And the last segment that happened before now was more like an interactive question and answer session, but primarily focused at people who are starting up in their careers or just at the middle of their careers, possibly at managerial or supervisory level. So what we're going to be speaking about, myself, I don't know, we'll primarily be speaking to people who are changing careers. I mean, I heard a question at the last session where somebody was asking, what do they need to do to change from teaching to HR? Well, specifically going to be speaking to people who are changing careers or people whose career is now mature. Maybe you've spent about 20 years in your professional career and you want to optimize your career. And so maybe what you can do for me, for many of our audiences online, what you can do for me is, just for me to know you can hear me, do you want to share how far you've done in your career? I mean, for example, I have an 18-year career right about now. And so if you want to share, if you feel comfortable sharing your career journey with us, just, indicate in the comment section with the number of years you've worked. That will guide us so that when we're asking you to share your thoughts, or maybe if you're asking a question, it's going to contextualize things for us. Welcome back. I don't know. I hope it's been very fantastic for you, I guess.
Fantastic day. It's been great having and listening as well to many of the discussions that we've been having. So I'm looking forward to this session as well.
Like I said, please, just for us to get the feedback that we're here on together. So if you don't mind, just put in the chat box what your how many years your career has been. So that guides your participation. Like I said, the focus of this segment is more about the career legacy and also people who are pivoting or people who are changing their careers. I'm going to start with a short story, right? The first 4 years of my career, was in marketing, and it was straightforward, right? I was just in marketing in the creative space. I was with a lot of creative people, and it was pretty easy. And then I think in my fourth year, towards the end of the fourth year, I got into technology, and it was really challenging for me. I mean, I political science in school. I'd worked 4 years in marketing, and then in 2008, I got into tech, and it was really challenging because in tech, one of the biggest drama that I had with tech people was they don't speak normal English, right? So you hear tech people talk in acronyms when the CPU meet with the ABC and then the APIs, and hey, I didn't have the foundation. And so having to not just even understand what my company was doing, but having to understand enough to be a valuable contributor was very difficult. And so now that we're speaking to a world that is much smaller, where people change career at the whim, how could or how should people prepare for the inevitable changes they're going to meet? What are your thoughts about that for people who are changing careers?
Great. Thank you for the question. And I think I'm a little above 2 decades now in my short career, I would say.
I know, as a veteran.
And I still remember the very beginning of that. And so my first career move was purely financial driven, and the first one, it was 6 months after I got my first job. But then my next move was a bit more strategic, because then I was working with an audit professional advisory firm, one of the big ones around. And after 4 years, I looked at it, I said, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? And it didn't feel that way. I wasn't bad on the job, but it didn't feel like the place I want to be at. When I look at my managers, then great people, but I didn't see my in them. And that's when I decided, you know what, I need to do something else. So when it comes to moving and changing careers, some of them are as strategic as maybe as mine, because I thought about it. Some could be incidental. Some could be, maybe there was a downsizing, or maybe something happened within your industry, and you have to move. The thing is, you always have to prepare yourself for new things. You always have to prepare yourself for situations that you can't control, because we're not in control of situations. We are in control of how we respond to situations. So for me, that's how I see when you want to move, when you want to change career, you have to, yes, always think about it. I mean, as I speak to you, I'm thinking about what do I want to do next. I have an idea of what I want to do next, but till now, when I wake up every day, I want to go to where I'm currently working. So I continue to do that. The day I don't feel right that way, I already have an idea what I want to do next.
All right. If I got you correctly, you're saying the more you think about it, the better prepared you get.
Correct.
Okay, that's interesting. Another question that I have, and I'm hoping this will be participatory. I mean, we're going to have some bit of a conversation with our audience online. But another question that I have is, now that you're at a new place, let's say either for incidental reasons or for deliberate strategic reasons, you've had to move. Okay. How do you take ownership? And I'm asking that alongside another question, right? I know quite a lot of people are looking for new career moves. Just before we came on the stage, we're having conversation backstage about how tech is so interesting today and everybody wants to work in tech. And that is cool. That's not bad. But I find that there are many people who possibly need a change, but are maybe fearful, maybe concerned, and they are not confident to make the move. So the first question is, how do you take mastery? The second one is for people who really do need a change and they're not taking it on, what do we need to push them into that decision such that they need to,
Okay, great. I think so. When you need a change, you need to ask yourself some questions. And you know, there is this great guy listening to Simon Sinek. I'm sure you know Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
He has this clip on 5 why. You have to ask yourself why. Why do I want it? And sometimes, guys, the why is shallow. I must be very honest. When you ask people, why do you want to change? And the first thing is, I want more money. Really, most of the times that's the answer you get, which is good. But, you know, I've experienced if you job, they double your salary in 3 months' time, your needs meet up that salary. And then it's not
true.
It's you, that benefit or that thing you think you were going to get from it, you don't get as much of it. So the first thing is really, why do I want to change? What is driving it? Is it because I'm not fulfilling the passion that I have? Is it that now, you know, I really want to, there's a different vibe I can add to what I'm doing today? So first answer that question. And then, like I said, I go back to the fact that you really need to prepare for change. You need to prepare for it. Many of the times is we're not ready for it, right? And again, we're talking backstage. You ask everybody now, what are you doing? I'm in tech. What does that even mean? You know,
buzzword.
Yeah, I'm in tech, or I'm in consulting. So prepare, be very deliberate about, you know, what you want to do. In my career, I was quite deliberate and upfront that I wanted to lead the establishment I'm working with. I was quite deliberate, and I told my boss's boss then. That was how much guts I had. You know, I said, this is what I want to be. I am not there yet. I will prepare for it. I will work for it. But as long as I'm here, this is my intention. I want to lead this organization. Yeah. And so I work towards it. So for me is, you know, ask yourself the why and then prepare for it. Because the opportunity, guys, they always come. And I know people will say, yeah, it's easy for you to say. No, I mean, I've been there. The opportunities show up. Many times is those two things are not there when the opportunity show up.
Yeah.
The planning.
Yeah. I mean, thanks a lot, Aruna. Sylvester, I see you're very emotional and compelling. I don't know if it's a question or a comment, but I'm going to try to summarize it, not just for, my co-panelists on stage, but also for the guys in the room. I mean, Sylvester has 15 plus years experience teaching. He wants to translate into HR consulting. But one of the comments you said there that got me is that the passion for teaching is fading off. And then I'm curious because people think that we remain the same all our lives, but it never happens. Okay. I mean, we change, our passions evolve. And I like Arnold's comment. So maybe I will just sort of posture Sylvester's question different. And please, I mean, guys in the room, if you have questions or if you have a response to somebody's questions, feel free to raise your hand. I'll welcome you to speak, unmute your mic. So a friend of mine in the States called me a few weeks ago, and he knows that I've changed jobs a few times, and was asking me what he needs to do because he wants to change his job now. He's going into a managerial role. And I told him, I said, I mean, I've changed jobs a few times, but it takes a different mindset to change jobs, right? Mm-hmm. The mindset is, even though you are done on your current job, you are going to a different company where you've got to prove yourself from the scratch. And that's difficult for people, okay? Because generally human beings are habitual. We like to stay in our comfort zone. Right. I like what you said is that we need to prepare for change. Mm-hmm. What do you say to people like Sylvester who wants to change? Okay, I mean, it's decided now that he wants to change. Possibly he started preparing or not as much. What more does he need? It's decided he wants to change. He's preparing, but what more does he need to get ready for the new opportunities or to go out there and make opportunities? Because at times, those opportunities will not drop on his laps.
No, very good. And again, thanks, Sylvester. I think at least you're showing passion in that I want to change, which is good. right? And like you did say, Larry, yeah, at times, things wear off, right? You don't necessarily have to be at the same level or passionate about the same thing for the next 20 years or so. Okay. But having said that, you've made the first right decision, which is you've decided now I want to change, right? Okay, it's great. Now you want to change. You've listed a few things that they may have some commonalities, but not so many. So you have HR, you have consultancy, and then you have project management. I mean, those are very broad categories. The first way I will advise is seek where you can offer and train on those things for free. And I give you my example. So my background is I studied engineering. I trained as an accountant, and so in my industry, it's not usually the norm that you transit as a finance professional into sales management. It's not. I mean, it's not. So it's
Translate to CFO or to the top of
exactly
finance,
or to lead the business as the CEO is. So I decided, like I said, I was very direct on what I wanted to do. What I didn't stay and say, now I'm tired of finance. I need a change now. I need to do something. I actually offered that I wanted to be doing sales role.
Wow.
In addition to my job. And my boss said, listen, you're asking for more. It's fine. You have to develop capacity, like Shegun was saying, and we're not going to pay you for it.
Wow.
So for 2 years, I was doing job for 2 people and I wasn't getting paid for it. But I was getting so much knowledge, so much experience for it.
And network.
And and the network. And it prepared me for the next opportunity. So when the opportunity came to lead the organization, I was no more seen as just the guy with the finance knowledge. I was seen as somebody, with a rounded experience. So Sylvester, it's great. You want to do those things, but please find where that you can offer and learn. And don't just look for, okay, I need an HR job. I'm sure there are many places that will give you the opportunity to learn those things. And once you get the knowledge, then you are ready to go to the market and to go to the next stage.
Thank you. Brilliant contribution. As always, from Aruna. And feel free if you want to use the emojis online and on Zoom, please feel free. There's another compelling question. It's long, but I'll try to summarize. I think this is from Imo, from Panda School, if I got that correctly. And I think the summary of your question is, how can a high performer deal with a micromanaging boss? It sounds to me like you're being stifled on the role because your boss is always on your tail and is maybe stealing your thunder. How do you keep up with this boss or continue to enjoy your job when your boss is always watching your every move? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so you find you have, guys, there is a difference between leaders and managers, and sometimes we confuse them. We think they are the same people. Okay, a leader, which is the ideal thing to be, is that guy who helps you to nurture, who helps you to develop, who shows that brightness that you have. Unfortunately, it's not inborn. I don't believe leaders are born. I believe leaders are made. And many times what we have in places today are managers. They're managing tasks that people are doing together. So first you need to understand that The second point is, and I shared that in the last panel, always take these things as opportunities for you to learn. I tell you, there is so much, you will think, I cannot do this. You will think, I don't know, I'm different. But I tell you, if you really look deeply, there are many things you'll be learning from this. This, your boss, will not be here forever.
Yeah.
You, by the way, will not be here forever. All right. You are not a tree. You can decide to move. As long as you believe you are creative, just continue to show your creativity. At some point, my friend, it will show up. Okay. One last thing that I'd like to share is, please don't be disloyal. I mean, that sounds like shaking the table, but don't be disloyal. If you are not able to do the job, you don't want to do the job, leave. Okay, loyalty is very key to serving or to working with people. As a manager, as a leader, I demand loyalty from my people, and I tell them from the beginning. We can disagree, we can have different opinions, but whatever we agree to, you must stay loyal.
Thank you so very much. Millicent, I thought I saw your hand go up. I don't know if it's still going to be up. I also saw that Imo wanted to unmute. Do you want to add some context? Although you asked an interesting question. You said, do we think creative individuals are easily misunderstood? My brother, and I hope you're a brother, right? I'm guessing you're a guy. I think human beings are generally misunderstood, but maybe even more so creative people. Do you still want to add some context for us?
Yeah.
Mute quickly.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I think we can hear you now.
All right, thank you. And thank you so much for the response to the question. It was really broad, and I really appreciate that. Just to give some context to what I was saying, I think, like you rightly said, we confuse leaders and managers, but my scenario was, I am a team lead. So it's almost like you're managing a manager, and it was really difficult. It was, I hear you talk about, you will not be there forever, but how about in the right now? Because I am big about not just surviving, but thriving. You can be loyal, but you are only surviving. You are waiting for when you will leave. But I don't work that way. My creativity, like, God, and God demands excellence from us. So you can be giving excellence, but you are not thriving, and I cannot work that way. So it was really, really a big deal. And I don't know how this can be better managed, especially when the leader or the CEO are people who are hard on their stance. They are not flexible. And the frustrating thing is that they are more flexible to outside opinions than to the advices or the ideas you give. Okay, let's do this, let's do X, Y, Z. But when they hear that X, Y, Z from other people, they now bring it up as if it is a novel idea. Okay, guys, let's do this X, Y, Z. And it keeps making it feel like, if you don't trust my expertise, why did you then hire me? Because all my suggestions are just flouted. So I even found out that he spoke with my subordinates more than he does communicate with me. And I thought that the line of communication was open. It wasn't until I left the job, because I have left, it wasn't until I left that my subordinates were now revealing all these things to me about him speaking with them on weekends or maybe on work days about what's going on in the team and all of that. And she was suggesting that maybe what I would have done better is to be giving him a summary of the things I do, either in his DM on Slack or on email. But I thought that was what the leads meeting we always have on weekdays was for. And yes, it is a learning process, but it was very choking. I can't lie to you. That's why I added at the end, do you think creative individuals are easily misunderstood? Because in an organization where there is no visible HR, because in the organization there was no visible HR, the COO was doubling as a HR. And I think this is the issue with startups. We try to do so many things with one person. The COO is the HR, is the this, is the that, and it's never around. So normally when that kind of thing happens, I would go to the HR and report to the person that this is the issue I'm having. But it was not that person. You don't even trust the CEO, the COO, because they were both co-founders. So even in
Yeah.
your moment of wanting to share, you don't trust that you would be viewed in the right light. You might be easily misunderstood as being heady or this guy you much. Let me just round up that way. Thank you so much.
All right, Imo. I mean, thanks for the context. I'm going to ask Aruna to maybe respond to that as we bring the thoughts to a head. But okay, I have some thoughts, but I'm supposed to anchor the session, so I'll allow him speak first, and then I'll share my. I actually wrote a piece about this a couple of days ago, but I'll allow Aruna the privilege of a response first.
Okay, thank you. Imo, so many things you've put into that question.
Exactly, loaded.
It's we need 30 minutes to unpack it. Okay, honestly, I mean, you talk about not just managers, you talk about organization, you talk about the age of the organization, where they are in their growth phase, because you also need to understand that there are some organizations, they are the storming stage. They don't know what they're doing. Everybody's trying to find out. The gate man doubles as the CFO and all of that. Yeah. And so the structure is different. So it's a lot to understand where it is. And I hear you say you've left. Maybe at this time, maybe the kind of thing you want, that could be better. Yeah, that could be better for you. That you've left. But I think because you will all meet different managers and different people. And just to add, you manage your managers. Never think your manager will manage you. And that's the mistake some of us also, right? You get into the career and you say, yeah, you don't know, my manager is not doing. No. You it's your responsibility to find out, how should I do with this? When I got a new role, someone advised me and said, listen, with your manager, every month you should do bullet points on what has happened for the month. That's what you do. And I figured I was doing this first month, second month, he just said, okay. The third month, he didn't even acknowledge it. All right. Fourth month, I did not do it. And he did not ask. So I had to find my own way to deal with him. So it's not necessarily the way Mr. A is dealing with it or Mr. B is dealing with it. So even in wherever you will be now, please find out, how do I manage my manager? Okay. And then you will find your own specific way to do that. It's really, really, really important. We always confuse it. We think he's my manager now. That's his responsibility to manage us.
Exactly. I mean, the reason why I didn't want to second guess is because of thoughts like this, and I mean, as we bring this to a close, let me summarize my original thought. I wasn't supposed to have any thoughts, but because this hits a bit closer to home. I mean, very early in my career, I just felt that managers were either incompetent or evil. I could just stratify them, that managers were not maybe good managers, or they were just bad people. And I mean, I was almost going to ask you, where were you in your career journey? Because it was easy for me to think that my boss was uncool, my boss was incompetent or inhuman. And then from working 1, 2, 3, 4 years, I'm now in my 18th year. So I'm the uncool boss that people talk about now. I'm the evil boss. I'm the guy that people think is crazy. And one of the first things that I said in the piece that I wrote is that first thing first is that these managers are themselves humans. I mean, we have high expectations of them. They should be good people manager, emotionally intelligent, and this and that, and all the big grammar. And yet they should. I mean, we pay them more, of course. We send them to trainings, they should. But they're humans and they have their flaws. But much more than this is the brilliant point that I think Aruna made. We have to manage vertically. You have to manage up. And if you realize after a while that your boss is the one who's suck up on having feedbacks, then providing feedback is not just managing him, it's how you quickly ascend. Oh, I've just been told time is up. So I'm going to try to round up. I think maybe the best thing to do is we're going to encourage as many of you as possible to please join up to Digital Career Development. One of the things we're working up on doing is create community rooms where some of these conversations can continue. I mean, the questions will never completely end and our responses will never come to a head. So our encouragement is please, I mean, send an email to the mail you should be seeing in the chat room. Or if you are really interested in joining up with us, I mean, you can send us a mail or I'm sure we have an anchor in the room. Her name is Ibukun, I believe, who is helping us to manage the room. Try and reach out to Ibukun via a chat. And I'm sure Ibukun and the team online or offline would ensure that you join up. As we close, I want to say thank you. Thank you for joining up with us. I think cumulatively we spent about 3 hours having very robust, very rich conversations in a way that helps us to move our career forward. It's been an exciting year for us as Daystar Career Development Program. Over the course of the year 2022, we've sort of reshaped the Daystar Career Plus, which used to be the Daystar Career Team and is now become Daystar Career Development Program. Our thoughts, our expectations is that as we go into the year 2023, our programs will become more robust, our interventions will become more concentrated, and the impact we'll have, we hope, will become much bigger. Our hope is that you attend the programs next year, but much more than the programs, we join up and participate with us in the community groups. As together we work to help ourselves get better and better in our career. Thank you for your time and attention. We hope it was a wonderful time for you, just as much as it was for us. Have a wonderful time. Any last words from you, Aruna?
Keep rising, guys. Keep rising. That's the only way. Go up.
Yeah, keep rising, guys. Have a wonderful day and the rest of your weekend. God bless you. Cheers, guys. Bye.